Well, hello, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Happy
We're here
Thursday.
with another great episode of Cloud
Yeah.
Foundry Weekly for you. And we're kind of at a normal time slot here. We're bringing back legend DaShaun, who helped Nikki and I kickstart this whole thing. I don't know. I guess we're on episode 90 now. So 89
So it
episodes
works.
ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then we got Darren here as well. So DMZ might pop in because we're doing some security related stuff. So anytime we talk security, I'll just just at DMZ, he may or may not
Which
show
is
up.
fun.
Yeah, but
It's just
it's really going to be kind of a continuation today of one of our I think maybe 2 episodes ago. But we had DMZ on, and we're talking about I think it was called the Holy Mythos episode. But again, it's every day I still wake up and there's massive CVE announced, or I think the most concerning one that's apparently GitHub got compromised. I'm like, that's not good. So we're in this ever kind of story of lots of security incidents happening and vulnerabilities and CVEs being disclosed. And not only that's the CVEs being disclosed with extremely workable exploits happening. And we kind of talked about, Tanzu platform and how that helps, but we wanted to bring on our developer advocate, DaShaun here. We'll see what he's seeing from the field. You talk with customers all the time. You do workshops. How does this relate to the Spring ecosystem? What can Spring and Tanzu work together to help mitigate this, help weather the CVE storm? Hopefully it dies down here, but I don't know. I keep seeing all these posts like this is just the beginning. So how do we kind of reinvent the new paradigm of, yes, we need to patch everything as fast as we can, and but also I hear too a lot, even on these customer calls I'm on, you can't just ship an app and then let it run for 3 years and not touch it type of thing. So definitely not now. Yeah. So DaShaun, tell us what you're seeing, and what can we do to kind of help everyone out and maybe get some more sleep at night or less worrying type of thing.
I see. I like to put things into buckets, and right now there's 2 buckets. There's a bucket of teams. I don't think there's very many orgs, enterprises that are doing this across the board, but a lot of them have the best teams that are doing this continuous remediation, continuous migration, etc. They're able to patch quickly, and I'm excited, right? For that group, it's been fun because for 1,614 days, I've been kind of leaned into this idea of I want to live that N-0 life, be on the latest patch of all the things. And even when there's things like TanStack, the recent one, even when it was kind of a supply chain issue, it was identified within 26 minutes, right? The malware versions were cleaned from all the repositories and stuff. I would much prefer to take something compromised and do that fix and get that 26-minute notification, or I think 2 hours was fully resolved. I would rather be on that, hey, I'm going to grab the new patch as soon as it comes out, than give the bad actors any more time.
Yeah.
So even with, and I lean into Spring. Spring is different than a lot of the other open source ecosystem, right? There are buckets of things, but Spring is fully employed by Broadcom. It's not just kind of like, hey, yeah, I'll contribute when I want to. It's got a full team that's their job. And I like my job. I would love to keep my job. So we're all really kind of focused on this and we care. But there's also the thousands of others that are contributing, around the globe, but they're working really well together. The good bucket of teams, they figured it out. The other bucket is the teams that kind of weighed their risk and said, Spring usually doesn't have any, CVEs. We'll be okay, right? They weighed that risk and they said, it'll be fine. We'll patch every 60 days. Or PCI compliance says we'll patch high and critical. We'll patch those every 30 days just to stay compliant. But what I'm seeing on that note is the policies, the regulations, they're not good enough to protect your enterprise. They're not good enough to protect your job, your company, your customers. The policies do not match the ecosystem right now.
Oh, yeah.
30 days to patch a high or critical? No, because there's so much access to compute that risk is high, right? Even the 3 and the 4, right? Your low risk stuff, that 3 and that 4 combined, they make a 9. So the way that things are right now, you've got to react fast. And the policies and things that are in place, those aren't good enough. So if you're just kind of checking the box, if you're just moving along to say, oh, I'm just going to meet that requirement, that's all I was required to do, that doesn't protect your company or your job, your customers. So those things just don't match. They're not matching the time that we're in, the moment that we're in right now. That's what
it's interesting. It's interesting too, because I mean, like, I think back to my customer days and think about the fact that, like, you know, in that time, like, things just, it wasn't moving as quickly. And so you could afford to do, you know, quarterly patch cycles, you know, and there was some stuff, you know, and Nick highlighted this earlier, like, there was some stuff you would install it and it would sit there for potentially years. Like, I remember when I worked on the partner side, there was one customer who was like, hey, leave that server sitting over there. Don't touch it. Don't get near it, because like it's propped up with popsicle sticks and toothpaste, like, because it's just, we don't know who the vendor is to support it anymore. We don't know what to do. And like, we don't have that luxury now, because as we look at like this AI assisted exploits, and, you know, we talk about chaining exploits together. Chaining exploits isn't anything that's new, but AI has really accelerated the pace at which those things can be discovered, but then also can be utilized to actually assist in the exploit itself. And so when we think about these Spring applications, and we think about how, you know, we've got obviously vast numbers, you know, one of the most widely and most used frameworks around the globe, you know, and Spring Boot clearly being, you know, front and center for us as VMware and Broadcom. How do we begin to really think about how we respond to this and move more towards that proactive patching? I'm patching ASAP the moment it's released, and getting almost into that continuous model for security versus, you know, that the old school triage and we'll figure it out when we get there kind of approach.
It's great. And it's weird. Again, the other thing that I'm constantly reminded of, I had this idea of my infrastructure being able to automatically patch. I had that first with Cloud Foundry, right? Nick, I'm sure you're aware of Cloud Foundry customers where the average VM age, and I'm going to call them out, the average VM age was 1.5 days. For all of their platforms, all the clouds that they were in and the on-prem, the average age for a VM was 1.5 days. Because they were constantly taking stem cells, they were constantly doing the upgrades when new things came out, and they were repaving, right? So if bad actor came in, that was one of their compensating controls. If bad actor came in, hey, good luck. Here's how much time you have. And the only reason it was 1.5 days is because some of their services, some of the SLAs that they had to deliver, required some of the data services to stay longer than, you know, X. So that was amazing. I've had that for the infrastructure for a long time, and it felt great. You feel safe putting your workloads on infrastructure that you know is safe and secure and has all these additional controls just in case. That's a powerful place to be. Then my build packs. My build packs have always had this ability, right? I was done doing Docker files, you know, back, you'll understand this, back in 2018. I was like, no, I'm not doing Docker files anymore. I want to just be able to restage. Get the latest one. I'm patched. I'm good. I feel great. And I can do that at scale. Like, what a great place to be. Because right now, the CVEs aren't just showing up in the app layer. They're showing up in your container layer, your infrastructure layer. You've got to be
20-year-old
to move.
Random exploiting.
Copy fail. OS, right? 17 plus years old. Exists. Right? You got to patch it all the way. And if you've got build packs, restage, we're good. Right? Infrastructure, good. We had compensated controls in Cloud Foundry. Like, we're in a great spot. But these things are coming. And if you're still using Dockerfile, and I'm sorry, I always pick on Dockerfile, but if you're still using Dockerfile, even the golden image, you're crazy right now, right? That's the redoing of the golden image, and then finding out who was using those images and rebuilding all of the things. it's not an easy process, right? The build packs made that process a whole lot easier. When there is an issue, I can fix it faster using build packs.
Well, so I think too, like I would always, when I was doing this, like as a, my career.
You mean when? I think you still
I guess
are.
I maybe still are. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. When I didn't work for Broadcom, we would always go through these audits, and this was, well before the ChatGPT era. And like we'd always like be very good scoring and like very fast to respond in the infrastructure space. Like, all right, yes, we have repave, we have build pack, we have all that. Like, we've been living in this, we've awfully said the Cloud Foundry world has been living in the future for quite some time. And I guess in the security patching world, it's somehow, yes, we've been here. Welcome to the party. I don't know, like you all need to do this. But the teams we would always kind of be like on the bleeding edge of like, yes, we've done all these things, right? Like, we just rebuilt all these VMs. And like the other story was like, well, we're gonna have to manually patch all these OSs, or like, we're gonna have to roll, like, do a patch Tuesday, or run some kind of orchestrator agent thing to kind of roll through all the handcrafted VMs, or runtimes and that type of thing. So again, it's amazing. We're like, yeah, we have all these tools, and like this has just been like best practice, but a lot of the other I guess side of the house, like ecosystem, just hasn't even been doing this. And now there's other other things to do that. But yeah, I guess as a platform engineer, I'm really happy that I have these tools. And then as you got stem cells, that's great. We can repay the entire foundation. We can patch that copy fail or whatever comes next, Linux CVE, with just doing a repay, right? And then you got the build packs, and that's the OS container level bits. But then we have all of the Spring support as well inside of Tanzu platform. So how do we address that, or how's that handled now in this day and age? Where
Tanzu platform customers have access, right? They get this additional ability that includes extended LTS support. That is just part of the package. That's part of what you get. So what that means is Tanzu platform customers, they've got some tooling that'll help them patch their Spring Java apps just like they've been doing for the platform, right? New thing comes out, they can roll it out across their portfolio. That's amazing. But on top of that, the position, the way that those CVEs, the way that patches are released, they are released before the CVEs. So the patch is always going to be there, depending on how fast you're looking for new versions. We've got customers that have had the patched version of Spring Boot or some other Spring project on its way to production before the CVE gets released, or before the announcement of the new version, right? Where customers are like, hey, DaShaun, I got a new version of Spring Boot 4.0.5. Like, what's going on? I don't see an announcement for it. Where is it? Like, great, good job. Take it, right? Do your diff, do your diligence. And that's a fantastic place to be. So now as these things are coming, what's happening is customers are realizing that there's a lot in that software bill of materials some of us have been dealing with for a long time. It goes all the way down, and there's a lot in there. So it's not just about Linux and Spring. There's all the other things that go into building your app or running your app that you've got to take care of. And yeah, there's a lot. So understanding, and I keep coming back to this word, the inventory. Understanding the inventory. How many times have we, you talk about that computer, like, I don't know what's on it. Don't touch it, right? It's there.
Yeah.
I always joke, there was a VM that had an uptime of 10 years. That VM had just been demotioned all around, and nobody wanted to do anything. Nobody knew who owned it or whatever. It's up. We'll be okay. Good luck. Those days are, I think they're gone. And right, there's other pieces to the puzzle. There's other ways. Maybe it's not plugged into the internet. I don't know. Yeah, like there's a lot of ways to mitigate things. Just unplug it from the internet. Maybe it'll still run. But this is where we are. Like this idea of being able to react quickly it requires an inventory. You got to understand what's going on. One of the big things that I hear, like at scale across the globe, one of the big things that leadership is trying to do is, we're tired of the snowflake things. We want to reduce the number of patterns that we're deploying to production, right? No company, right? Most companies aren't all in on one, right? They're not all in on Tanzu platform. They've got some bare metal, they got some VMs, they got some mainframe, maybe they've got some Kubernetes, they got some Cloud Foundry, they've even got edge ones. But rarely is any company, I can't think of one, that is all in on just one target, right? They've all got these different things. But even in those types of targets, the patterns that we use, the way that we're deploying VMs or bare metal, like those patterns, we need to be careful, because at a moment like right now, when security is aware, we've got to be able to address those things at scale, and the time matters. The time matters.
Yeah.
That's
a really good. Go ahead. Sorry. That's a really good point too, because I remember fighting some of the, I guess, Snowflake architectures, and it was just kind of like, well, like this new thing came out, so we want to build, maybe more of a bit of a resume-driven development where we want to build a new project in like this new framework or this new thing, and then you just that pattern continues, and this whole concept of like an enterprise architecture kind of fizzles apart when you have, your core business just being, riddled with, dozens of different frameworks and languages and everything all over the whatever was cool at the time of that project kickstarting type of thing. So yeah, having maybe more of a discipline of just like, hey, this is what our tech stack is, and like you can figure out how to use this. That's maybe even another, I guess, just general philosophy idea that I didn't even think about until just now. I was like, yeah, we probably should, not, that's another mechanism that really doesn't require a whole lot of things, of just like discipline of like, yes, this is our these patterns are all standardized on this tech stack. And if you're going to deviate that, like even more so in this day and age, you're going to have to do a lot of paperwork to get that approved, right? Type of thing. Because the maintenance, the ongoing burden to try to keep that going is a lot, right? So that's a good call out. I didn't think about to just now. So Darren, I cut you off. You were going to say something. Sorry, and then just cut off DaShaun.
I think I was going to say something actually very similar. Like, DaShaun, you kind of alluded to the fact that like we need a software bill of materials, and it goes beyond just the underlying platform tech stack, because I mean organizations, they do standardize on things like Cloud Foundry. Maybe they've got another platform that they're leveraging for orchestrating containers, or maybe it's even deeper than that. Going down to the infrastructure layer, and like we have standardized on things at that layer. But then as you work up the tech stack to the applications, like there are so many situations where a new CVE comes out, and you're like, are we exposed? I actually don't know if we're exposed, because we have not necessarily standardized on one thing. We have multiple snowflakes, and even in many healthy and mature organizations, you do have still varying tech stacks across the organization within different divisions, divisions and things like that within the company. And in those cases, as the platform team, I'm sitting here going, okay, are we exposed or are we not exposed? A software bill of materials helps me identify that much faster, and not only identify it that much faster, but also be able to triage those requests at the speed that I'm beginning to find out about them. And that's not something that I have the luxury of doing if it's just a bunch of snowflakes and it's a DIY stack across the board.
And I don't want to discourage experimentation. I don't want to discourage that from anybody. That is a part of innovation. You got to go out and try the new thing, but understand how many times have we tried a new thing and then it shows up in production, and then we got to build a team around the new thing that we weren't prepared for. And then we're buying all these other things in order to support that one-off, right? That's a risk. So yeah, at the leadership level, we're trying to simplify.
Well, it's that too, but it's not only like in the agentic era, like I've even given my agents, I'm like, hey, like this is the tech stack that I want to deal with, right? Because like if you just say, hey, I want to go build, website XYZ, it's just gonna be like, whatever I feel like today. And then it's, you have, whatever this app in production that is just whatever, your agent decided to pull from the internet at that given time. So that whole snowflake process could be exponentially worse when you have a lot of AI assisted development. So like, and I guess I would say that the how do we say like the overhead of implementing an architecture or some type of discipline is a lot lower now, because you can potentially even write skills around it, right? You can say, hey, like this is like agent, like help me write this app, and like we're going to use Spring, and we're going to use Tanzu platform, and like you want services, use the marketplace, grab them from there. Don't go try to pull them from there. So not only are you like helping guide the agent in terms of what to use, but you're getting all these benefits of a platform and like the Spring ecosystem that agent could just pick up too as well. So I guess that's another. I'm thinking of a lot of new things as we do this episode. But
you want to know what's cool?
Yeah.
I have Kubernetes in the building. I have Karithi in the building. I've got Cloud Foundry. I have all the things. And on one of the models, I don't remember which model I was doing. I was like, hey, you got access to Kubernetes. You got access to Cloud Foundry. Choose what you want. What do you think, Joe? I was really excited. I was like, yeah. Like Cloud Foundry, of course. But all of these, or most of the models that I'm dealing with, they fully understand Cloud Foundry is not just a powerful thing. It's got a powerful API. So here's the other like really cool thing that I'm seeing a lot of is the feedback loop is changing, right? The way that we're taking code, right? That's always been, we've had the, what was the set of things that develop what the meantime to remediation?
MTTR and all.
Yeah. What were those five? The 5 things that separate the good from the rest of the pack. I can't even remember what they were called now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had these things. One of the things was kind of the fast. How fast can you react to change? That is important. Now with these patches that are coming, it's a different type of change, right? In the past, we would get a CVE, a security thing that everybody's, hey, stop what you're doing. We got to go patch this thing. We get those every once in a while. But now, like you said, it's like every day there's something. It might not be in the same spot, but every day there's something. And the best bucket, my non-scientific analysis, the best bucket, they're able to react quickly. And we've got a bunch of customers that, yeah, there's a wave. We've been doing this. We've already exercised those muscles. We've been doing this for a long time. So whether it's 5 or 500, the developers aren't stressed. Platform team not stressed. They got a nice map. They know where things are. They're validating. What I'm seeing is I've had kind of this default pipeline for patching for Spring Boot apps, like a way to run, open, rewrite, a way to do these things and get patches out quickly. But my little default that 2 months ago, everybody would be like, yeah. Today they're like, that takes too long. We've got 100,000 repositories, and if a new CVE drops or a new patch drops and it affects 10,000 of them, and it's just doing a pull request, and I'm wanting developers to do that pull request, and that takes too long. The amount of time is it's unacceptable. The additional piece is Spring Boot has a release train, and there's third-party dependencies. I've seen a lot of advanced, the good best bucket. They were not just saying, hey, yeah, we're going to patch or we'll wait for the Spring Boot. They're saying, no, there's a dependency. We're going to pin it to that dependency. And when Spring Boot, the next version, pulls up that dependency version, then we'll unpin it and we'll go back to Spring Boot. Their pipelines are advancing that fast, that mature. So where they're not going to allow, even though it's a third-party dependency that's brought in by Spring Boot, they're not going to allow it to go to production, even if it's a 3. They're saying, I'm going to pin to that version because I can, because I want to live that N-0 life. I'm going to pin to that version. And when Spring Boot comes along and bumps to that version, then we'll unpin it and we'll ride the ride. This is great. But it's not a manual thing. Developers aren't having to make that decision. They're doing it automatically. And they're doing it at scale. And one of the other patterns that we see is we're recommending when you push one of these fixes. Open rewrite fixed. Advisors fixed it. Here's a pull request. That pull request goes onto a new branch. We've been able to do this for a long time. That's not really that common. When a new branch shows up, maybe it gets a new deployment, maybe it gets a new pipeline. But today, we're going to validate that branch. I've got the Cloud Foundry API. I'm going to take that branch. I'm going to take what I know about it, and I'm going to deploy everything it needs to be validated. The other services, I'm going to stand up a new space, deploy that app, CF create the services that it needs. I'm going to go do my unit test, my end-to-end test, my smoke test, and I'm going to validate it in that space just for that branch. And when it's done, boop, I delete it, and I'm going to merge it down to main. Because it was just a security patch. I can get all that metadata. I can decide that maturely. When I get a security CVE, you ride this ride. We're going to validate it, and we're going to take it to main. That's a happy place to be. So my lame pipelines that had people validating and doing their own tests manually, that's a thing of the past. These customers that are using our tooling, they're going out and they're just doing the constant loop. Every repository, all the time, I'm looking, is there anything for me to upgrade? Is there anything for me to patch? The CVE databases, they get updated every hour, right? The NVDs, the NIST, those, they get updated every hour. I can only update my cache. I don't have enterprise grade. I can only update mine every 3 hours, but darn tootin', I'm upgrading mine every 3 hours.
Well, you gotta go for the all in for the hour, every hour, right? No.
I would, but yeah.
That's a really interesting concept though, of like, do you see them kind of rolling in the because I know we've obviously talked a lot about, you know, Tanzu platform and you have all those benefits, but I think too, even with the Spring, like as a Tanzu customer, you get that extended Spring support portal, or I'm listening.
Repository. Yeah.
Repository.
You get an extended repository with long-term releases. Yep.
Yeah. So you get all that, but then do you see people wiring that up into apps as well that are maybe off platform too, in case they haven't seen the full of the Tanzu platform?
Again,
you still get those.
A lot of our customers, they're not all in on one, right? So they've got Spring running on the mainframe. We got to patch that too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get Tanzu platform in order to get the Spring support. You can just get what we call Tanzu Spring Essentials, and you can get Spring support along with a bunch of other things. But you can still get that tooling that is constantly upgrading and patching your Spring, which is amazing. And it's powerful, and it's not like an all-in-one answer because there are so many other things. But this is another takeaway that I'm seeing. Companies have dependent bots and renovates and other things, and that's great for all the other front end, Angular, React, all the other things you're pulling off of NPM. That's a different path. But for the Spring stuff, the Java stuff, they basically have a separate path to production because the tooling that we have, the application advisor, works for all of Java, right? It works not just for Spring, but it can help you orchestrate your recipes and your upgrades for all of your Java, whether it's open source out in the wild or the stuff that you're building in-house. So let's say I'm a developer and I'm in charge of the security module, the security library that everybody uses to connect to our Active Directory. Hey, this is a library, but I want to make a new version. I push out a new version. I'm like, hey, everybody, you got to upgrade. All 45,000 engineers got to upgrade. That's the way it was. Right? But also I broke the API. So it's going to take a little bit of work. Well, now today in 2026, I've got open rewrite. I've got the advisor. I can say, hey, here's my new version. If you're going from version 1 to version 2, where I broke the API, here's the recipe. And I just put that information into a map, into a folder that I give my tooling access to. And across the board, I can go and upgrade everybody, all the repositories that are using our common security. I can upgrade it at scale, and it'll run the recipe. So it'll change their code that was using version 1.0. It'll change it to using version 2.0 and make all the changes. It'll remove all the deprecated methods and fix them.
It sounds like your dog has a similar question, because like if you're
everybody here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a platform engineer, I think one of the big things that is always made platform engineers' life difficult and VI admins' life difficult is like, okay, well, I've got all this patching to do. What happens if there's a breaking change as part of that patch? I patch it. We now no longer have an issue with that vulnerability, but my application's broken because it broke it. What you're saying is like, we can help resolve some of that, from the standpoint of Spring Application Advisor, is it gives you the ability to actually work ahead and make sure that you're building that map for API changes and things like that. And that is really the value that you get when you're signing up to be a Spring customer.
Yeah, and this is another thing that's come up. It's like, what if everybody's been burned at some point by taking a patch and having it break something? Everybody's been burned. But that's one of the reasons why I think Open Rewrite was created. And that's why we leaned into Open Rewrite, is because you get the ability to not just say, hey, here's a fix, but here's code that'll change your code to use the new stuff. Right. And one of the things that I'm having conversations about a lot today is on the path to production. Not everybody has an escape patch. Not everybody has a rollback button. And yeah, most of our customers, we have a bucket of customers that they've had that for a long time. Like if something made it to production, I've got a rollback button where I can say, nah, let me go back. Or maybe you're in that roll forward approach. Like, I'm going to patch it and I'll fix something else and I'm going to take it forward. But that ability, you have to be able to react. Yeah. Right. And rollback seems easy enough. It shouldn't take a whole lot of work to be able to say, hey, yep, I took something to production and now it's worse. I want to roll back. That's part of the story today. If you're going to react fast, you also got to be able to react fast in the other direction. So that's a hot topic for me and the customers I'm working with right now, is implementing rollback just in case. But the cool thing of this moment that we're in with all the CVEs and security, again, as the platform infrastructure, our customers have been prepared for this moment. Right. Yeah. Just like you said, well, welcome to the party. We've been doing this for a long time. And now I'm happy to say that I've got a group of customers, maybe not the whole org, but there's a bunch of teams at a bunch of these companies that are prepared for this moment. They're ready for it. They're not stressing because they've got this type of tooling in place to handle the upgrades.
Very cool. So have you seen anyone using like Canary or Blue Green to roll? Like, because obviously within you have the droplet versions, you can do rollback and Tanzu platform, but I didn't even think about that too. Or like, all right, we're gonna use we're gonna automate this whole CV updates. We're gonna deploy like a Blue or Green or do a Canary deploy of this super critical patch. Watch it and either roll back or go forward. So like those are all just like constructs within the platform that can easily be called. I'm curious to see how that's that's just a tool about. Yeah.
We've been talking about that first because there's so much. A lot of times software engineering, even with your AI agents, we're kind of gluing things together. Oh, I've got something out here off the shelf that's already done that. Let me go grab it. And how do you validate all of those things? Well, one easy way to validate is with a Canary deploy, right? If you're going to take Java 26 or, early access Java 27, if you want to take it to production and see if it works, you can do that today. You can go deploy your app that's today running Spring Boot 4.0.6 or 4.0.7 and Java 26, and you could take that same app and run it against Java 27 in one instance. Put one Canary deploy and one region, and you could run it and fine. It's going to, send it 5% of your traffic and you can validate and you can be sure that when Java 27 goes GA, you're ready. You're comfortable. This is another interesting spot that we're in. We've got customers that don't want to be reactive. Spring is legacy. Spring's been around for 20 plus years, long time. And there are enterprises that have built on top of Spring for that long, and they've been upgrading for that long, right? Great documentation, great community. They've been upgrading, and it feels good to just ride that ride. Look at all this amazing stuff. And they've also, because Spring is open source, they've also given back. And that's great. But here we are. Now we've got a lot more software. We've got a lot more software to update. The manual piece doesn't work. We had to bring in this automation. So here we are, upgrading at scale, riding that ride. It's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time.
Okay.
And we're here for the moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have the platform repave, restage build packs, and we have now the Tanzu platform Spring repository for Tanzu platform customers. You get the access to extended support bits if you need them, and other bits as they come out. And I guess too, can we maybe dive deep more into some of the application advisor stuff that's within like Hub and Tanzu platform? How do you see that kind of being used in terms of like the security story, or is that just like, are we rolling that into a pipeline at this point now? Or I guess
so. The advisor,
I'm curious to see what you're seeing there.
Yep, this tool that we've got that we include with our Tanzu Spring Enterprise and our platform, it's just a CLI, because orgs, right? They've got their own policy. They got their own way that they've got to label pull requests, or their own process for, hey, it's got to include these things, or an issue has to be open before we can do a pull request. Every org has their own policy. So the fact that the advisor is just a CLI that can be plugged in many different ways, that's amazing. And the range of how it's being used, it continues to grow.
My agents love CLI, so that's a good thing, right? yeah, they could use that.
It is, absolutely, right? It's because it's a CLI, because it's just a binary. Yeah, if you got skills, you can feed it skills. We definitely have customers that are doing that. Right? Like, hey, because the skill can actually have the binary included in it, and say, yeah, I'm going to run this tool, and it's a powerful tool, and it just keeps on getting better. The pipelines that are being used, I said that they're already getting more and more advanced. We've made a couple of changes over the last year plus. The first one around the long-term support bits. We've made the change, that the last minor of every major, like Spring Boot. So Spring Boot 2.7 is the last minor. Spring Boot 3.5 is the last minor of the 3.0 branch. The last minor of every major gets 6 years of support now. Because for those customers that have 50 or 60,000 or more repositories, it's hard to move. And sometimes it's not that they can't move, it's some third-party dependency. It's that thing that's being held up by popsicle sticks that it can't upgrade. So they've got to stay here. So that 6 years gives them time to focus on more important things, but also stay secure. That's one change. Another really big change on Spring, and this affects not just our platform customers, but the milestone releases. They used to go to a separate repository. Now our milestones for all the projects and our release candidates, they all go to Maven Central. And what I'm seeing is customers that are doing this automatic, we're always on the latest and greatest, or N-0 life. What they're now able to do, because they flex that muscle of patching quickly, now they can take early access versions. They can take early versions of Ubuntu, early versions of Java, early versions of Spring Boot, and they can run them in parallel. Maybe it's not production, or maybe it is. They can do both. They can take early access stuff. So they're never going to get blindsided by new things, but they can also give feedback, because the best kind of customer, best kind of partnership in the open source ecosystem is one where both sides are giving, where, hey, this great company has been doing this for a long time, and they've been doing it so well that, their feedback matters. Like, we know that they're mature and that they're taking early versions of Java, early versions of Spring Boot, early versions of Spring Data Kafka. Wink. I'm winking to that person. Right? Yeah. They know that here's what we're doing. And we know, the Spring team knows, like they're on front. They're not just, pulling this. It's not AI slop from that team. Any feedback that we get, this is valuable. And right now there's an opportunity, right? When you flex those muscles and when you can be at the front for whatever it is, right? This is just a general term for whatever you're doing. If you can be a team a developer, a platform team that is taking early versions of things and give feedback before it goes GA, thank you. From the entire open source ecosystem, thank you. We need more of that. So those are some of the other things that I'm seeing in this new world of we've got to react fast, but by reacting fast, by being proactive, it opens up this whole other opportunity for you to fix other things, the other bottlenecks in not just your process, but like for your company, right? The innovation. Yeah, you've opened up a lot of other doors when you're not looking backwards all the time.
Yeah, that's this is a lot of good stuff happening here, but I guess I think we need to do more of this kind of cross Spring and Cloud Foundry and Tanzu stream, because I think there's so much, even as like the past platform engineer officially and unofficially currently, just just getting, like, all right, hey, like, all right, well, like I've done my job, right? But if the other side, if the development side isn't doing some of these practices that you're talking about, we could have patched the OS, the infrastructure, the platform could be very well patched. But if you haven't touched your app in 3 years, we can only do so much if you've got a bunch of vulnerable libraries. Right? We can restage everything up to your app code, right? And we can, you still got to do that. So it's really cool to hear that, the both sides kind of come into play and really working that muscle of, like, you don't want to sit and not do anything for 3 years. You got to constantly be moving, and you don't want to atrophy type of thing. So very, very cool.
But wait, there's more, right? For all the platform engineers that have been in that position, right? Yeah. There was a while where the platform engineers were like, hey, you got to help our app teams upgrade their apps because we want to upgrade to the new Spring tiles. The app teams are holding us back from upgrading our infrastructure. Like we had that story. But now inside of Tanzu platform, now we've got kind of a dashboard. We've got some additional information that shows you, platform engineer leadership, shows you the state of your portfolio. We have this component inside of Tanzu Hub that gives you this visible, I like to refer to it as a map. On where do I want to focus? Where am I the weakest at? It gives you a map of where's my risk, right? Which teams aren't upgrading? Which teams aren't patching? Which teams are holding us back? That's another beautiful thing where Tanzu, we understand where you've been, Nick, right? We understand that, like, hey, I'm doing my part. I'm taking new stem cells. I'm taking new service tiles. I'm doing my part. But my consumers, like, they got to do their part. This practice of being a good consumer of the platform, that matters. But now we've given platform engineers a little bit better view. They can know, wait, this team over here, they've been hiding. They've been really quiet. Oh, wait, look. Yeah, they're quiet because they're behind, and they should be, should be a little bit of a stick, right?
Yeah.
I was actually just about to highlight that. Like, that is one of the new features of Tanzu Platform 10.4, and like we're kind of in the midst of this series of Tanzu Platform 10.4 CF weeklies. But one of the things, and hopefully we'll get to it here in the next couple of weeks as we talk about kind of that CVE dashboard, the vulnerability insights dashboard is what we call it. But even for application teams, from the apps view, you can actually go in and see, are there vulnerable Spring libraries in my environment? Are there Spring libraries that are sitting there with upgrades available, ready to be applied, that just haven't happened yet? And as a platform engineer, I now have the ability to see that and have insight into that in a way that I didn't previously. I know what needs attention, and not only that, but it'll tell me what I need to do to resolve that. And I can go and talk to that developer and say, hey, like, if we just run this upgrade plan, we can get to the latest version for your repo. Like, and I mean, it makes it's good because obviously I think observability and visibility is obviously one of the first steps toward trying to figure out how do we really establish a better process around this to move more towards that continuous security model, continuous engineering model. Just like we've always had the continuous development cycle, and Nick's going to bring it up. This is even better.
Well, yeah, I was like, we could do this live.
We could do this live.
We have these things called, browsers and, sharing the screen. Yeah, right. All right. Yeah. Yes. So what do we want to like? I go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say. So, I mean, if you want to show it here, so we can jump. If we go to our apps view, and we look at that's what. There you go. So, and then if we go over to actually just to go to the top right and change your vulnerability remediation selector to Spring Libraries. And so when you do that, now I can see all the vulnerable apps within my entire Tanzu platform estate. And the cool part when I say Tanzu platform estate, every foundation that you have attached to Tanzu Hub will report the status of all of the applications on that foundation.
I think we need to do a little Coon Labs PSA.
Yep.
Yeah.
So PSA, Tanzu Hub, if you are a Tanzu platform licensed customer, Tanzu Hub is yours already. All you need to do is download it, deploy it, get it up and running in your environment, attach your foundations into Tanzu Hub, and now all of a sudden you have insights you've never had before. And the beauty of this is now, when you click on that 105, now automatically below what Nick's showing here is that it will automatically do the filtering for you. So you can see the impacted applications that have those vulnerable application, or I should say that have those vulnerable Spring libraries. And so from here, now what we can do is if you choose any one of those applications, Nick, dealer's choice. Yeah. So now if I go to that, if I select Spring Library right there at the top on the right-hand side under my vulnerability remediation, move your mouse.
Sorry.
Yep. So now here I can see, it's okay. So here I can see that with this particular application, I have 5 CVEs. And what I can see here is that if I actually just utilize the upgrade plan that is already available to me, this upgrade will fix 100% of the CVEs for this application. That's what this is telling me. DaShaun, anything else you want to add or highlight here that I haven't already spoken to?
No, that's hot. That is amazing. So not only, hey, you got CVEs, but if you do this one thing, you're fixed. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Like there's no questions like, oh yeah, how much time is it gonna take me? Oh, that's just one step.
Yep.
That's pretty powerful.
This is Spring App Advisor built right into Tanzu platform. Just, I mean, for anybody out there who's wondering, like this is simply just the Spring Application Advisor bits all plugged in and fully integrated into the Tanzu platform story. And so for you as a Tanzu platform customer, something you can take advantage of today, you just got to get up to Tanzu or get Tanzu Hub up and running.
And I need to talk to some of my agents. They need to be doing some better work here. But yeah, so my agents have some work to do. So yeah, we do a CF repo upgrade plan and get that going. I'm gonna have to try that.
There's one more thing I'd like to point out.
Go for it.
We talked about the like simplifying, reducing patterns, removing snowflakes. Cloud Foundry's got a nice path, right? Whether it's for your developers or for your agents, it's nice to have a consistent path, and Cloud Foundry does a lot, takes care of that for you. But here, if you go onto the left side, the app portfolio assessment, you can actually analyze your software that's not running on platform. You can analyze the software that's running on all the different places, on the edge, on the mainframe, and you can say like, hey, could this fit on Tanzu platform? And it'll tell you. It's like, yeah, Arul stuff, all 100 repositories, those are all well suited. They are probably cloud native. They're going to fit just fine on Tanzu platform. And you can go in, you can be like, oh yeah, here's a candidate. Here's something that might work. And guess what? Tanzu platform will actually help you modernize your apps and land them that, hey, it was running on a VM. It was running on bare metal under Logan's desk. And you can say, hey, help me get this app from under Logan's desk onto Tanzu platform, and it'll do it for you. That's another powerful. This is my map of where should I focus, because it's not always on Tanzu platform. We understand that, but where should I be looking? The ones that are in red, I might want to focus on those, but I don't know. Like, are those ones that are in red? Are they customer facing? Are they core infrastructure services, or are they just an internal app that's only taking 5 requests a day?
Right.
We show that too. If you go up to the repository groups you can kind of see like, hey, we've got all these groups. They're bucketed. Click on the repositories of any one of those groups.
We'll click on yours.
Yeah. And if you scroll down, like you can slice it and dice it on business criticality. Like how critical is this? So you can make real informed decisions. Go back up to the top and there's a repositories link. Yep.
Is it here?
Yep. And here you can see like I've done the assessment and I've got my status, but there's also, if you scroll over to the right, I've got ones that they're marked as candidates. These would be good. Right? I've got one that's already been onboarded that was off platform. I've onboarded it, but it also shows you the business criticality. Like, hey, DaShaun stuff, not critical. He's just a developer advocate. So we're not going to focus on that. But if it was high and it was red, maybe I want to pay attention to that. So this is just another way, like when we're talking about security and we're talking about, protecting the business and our customers, wouldn't it be nice to have a map on where to focus your efforts? Going back to that word inventory, this is really, really important for what we're trying to do in this moment that we're in right now. And again, it's nice that Tanzu platform has been there already.
Yeah, and I think this is actually something too, Nick, like we could do an entire episode around the app portfolio assessment, functionality, because I think one of the big things here for a lot of customers, and I've had a number of conversations over the last year of like, hey, like this all sounds really good for the stuff that's sitting on platform, but to DaShaun's point, like what about the stuff that's not? And how do I get a complete picture of that application estate? How do I know what is next best, from the standpoint of not just criticality, but also just, hey, like maybe I need to just do a better job of our modernization approach. How do we modernize our applications faster? How do we see what's actually, a cloud application in terms of its overall suitability, and maybe moving more towards, looking at, like this has the ability to look at .NET apps and, other types of applications and see, hey, what is the cloud suitability? What is the suitability score to bring those types of applications onto the platform? And this is really the value that, being able to utilize a PaaS, you being able to utilize a platform as a service. This is what platform as a service does best. Is it looks at all of the applications that you've got deployed. It looks at all of the tech stacks that you're leveraging, and it goes, okay, if we want to just re-platform that and move it from point A to point B, okay, that's one conversation to have. But what if we do truly want to modernize this? What if we do want to move away from that 3-tier app architecture because we have additional needs specifically around AI and agentic use cases? Like this opens up a whole new world of possibilities, and it makes it very easy and kind of all at your fingertips, and it's only getting better. Like, as we look forward and we look at the roadmap down the road, like this story continues to get better. And so now's the time. Now's the time to really jump in and start to leverage these tools.
Yeah. Well, then I guess I know we're kind of coming close to time, but when we started talking about, like digital modernization, app modernization for whatever, I don't know, a while ago, 10 plus years ago now, we're like, oh, we gotta modernize all our apps to be like Amazon or Google or whatever. And I worked for a really old company, right? And we had every generation of technology since like technology was invented, because the company predated like computers and things, right? But now in the day and age, you're like, well, we're not modernizing just for the sake of modernizing. You're going to modernize applications so you can turn them into a pattern that you can rapidly remediate CVEs against, right? Because like if you get them in a cloud native, in a Tanzu platform, cloud Foundry style, you can take advantage of all these tools, like and pipeline them and automate them. But if you're still on the kind of these older style mechanisms of don't touch this thing over here because nobody knows what's running, like that is maybe even more, modernize your apps to get on a security cadence perspective is more is maybe the most compelling of it now these day and ages, versus just like we're going to modernize for the sake of modernizing type of thing, right? That's another interesting concept. I just kind of had that revelation of like you need to update your things just so that you modernize your apps so they can be sustainable in a up so they can sustain being patched constantly, versus Like, don't touch these servers over here. I remember the days of we were doing like audits in data centers. We're like, what's in U22, row 5? Like, I don't know. It's powered on. What if we power it off? Let's see what happens, right?
What happens?
Or, yeah. Well, we need to turn that thing back on. Something broke. Like, so you even have those days and age, like where like we have unknown servers running in the data center that we don't know who owns them or what they do. So, yeah, hopefully we're well past those days. But
20 years from now, we're still going to be modernizing. 20 years from now, it's going to be for the same reasons. I mean, I use the word maintainability. Is the most important thing that we have. And if you happen to be one of the orgs that is in 5 different clouds, hybrid, on cloud, in the big cloud providers, and the sovereign cloud over in that other country, like if you happen to be one of those, the maintainability, the ability to say, hey, I've got the same API, I've got the same core constructs in all of those clouds, that's powerful. That's much easier to maintain than having a team for that cloud, having a team of experts for that cloud. And they all have to do the same work, but in different ways against different APIs. This idea, again, from that first principle of we're seeing that we want to reduce the patterns. We want to make it so that maintainability is easier, better, faster, because the time to where we need to react and when reaction is done, that time is important. From CVE published to CVE patched, that's important. And I think that maintainability is the most important thing that we've got going. And Tanzu platform really helps with maintainability at the infrastructure, container, service, and app layer.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been a great episode. Like you, I didn't even expect to have some new revelations today, but I think we did. So
but that's how this works, right?
I've just connected the dots over like so many things that happened, over so much time to now. It's a really interesting story here. So I really appreciate coming on the show today, DaShaun, and I hope if you're
always a pleasure.
I know customers out here watching. I know they're like in the a lot. I talk to a lot of the platform engineers. So like if you're watching, if you've seen this, on the post, post live on YouTube or whatever, don't forget that Tanzu has a whole breadth of team folks like DaShaun come in and help you get your developers, maybe if they're struggling, like if we're struggling with getting some of these app side vulnerabilities managed. DaShaun's team come in, help out, and then you have tools like Hub to help really, hopefully not shame, but at least help illuminate some of these dependencies that we may need to start updating some more, so to speak. So
shame and celebrate, right? We can also celebrate the ones that are patching and staying on the latest and greatest and staying flexible, right? We can celebrate those as well, but a little bit of shame helps.
Yeah. Shame back, but yes. Yes. Yeah. And then I need to go update some of my own apps apparently too. So yeah, it's all good. All right. I guess, do we have any closing thoughts? I know I don't want to go too over our time schedule here. So any closing thoughts for the audience, DaShaun?
I always have fun coming on the show. I appreciate the invite. It's always a pleasure. And keep up the good work. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Darren, what about anything for our listeners here?
I think the biggest thing is, if you're a Tanzu platform customer and you've not kicked the tires on Tanzu Hub and seen the value that it brings to just giving you the visibility and observability you need to really be successful, now is the time. This is the moment to really begin to leverage the value you already own. I think that's the best way to put it. Leverage the value you already have. Tanzu Hub is awesome. There's a lot of really good tools that are here. And it's only getting better.
Yeah. And make sure your developers make sure you have the Tanzu Spring repository wired up, so you're getting access to those patches and applying them, because please patch, right?
Yes.
You like make use of what you already have access to.
Yeah, I'm probably your customer. Please.
We're all probably customers.
Yeah, we are all probably using your services every day.
Yeah.
So yes, please patch.
Please patch.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll do a little wrap up here. We'll sign off with our CF BY, and then we'll see y'all next time. All right. So we'll do 3, 2, 1. CF BY.
Bye.
All right.